So Peldi, get ready, quick.
I'm ready.
Right, hi, welcome. It looks like I'm a very oranged face, Mark Littlewood, but I think it's the home-based curtain backdrop there that's making everything else go orange on my screen. Welcome to a hangout and an Ask Me Anything with Peldi. This is one of I think this is the fourth business of software hangout we've done this year so far. They've all been absolutely fascinating, but this is an AMA after a quite extraordinary talk. Peldi, I'd like you to say hello and maybe introduce tell us a little bit about what the talk was about.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Please ask a question so that I can know that you're here. I'm Peldi. I am from Balsamiq. We do a little wireframing tool called Balsamiq Mockups. And last September, I spoke in Boston about my journey. I've been at it for over 7 years now. And so basically it was about the different ups and downs, and it was structured in by showing what the plan was at the beginning, plan number one, and then showing how that failed miserably, and then it became I had to come up with plan two, and that lasted a little bit, and then failed. Then 3, 4, 5. I don't even remember how many plans I showed, but basically it's a story about being forced to reinvent yourself and your company as things change. And yeah, so that was the talk. You can see it online now, or most of it.
Well, there's quite a bit of it that you can't see online. Probably 14 or 15 minutes or something where you talked about some of the ins and outs of the deal and the approach, and you talked about how you felt in terms of what was fact, what was fiction, what was being how were you being sold to, all sorts of stuff. Amazing things going on there.
Right. So there was a period where we were still pretty small, where we were approached by several companies wanting to acquire Balsamiq. And in the talk, I tell a story about the most serious offer that we received and how we ultimately rejected it, but came very, very close to accepting it. But that part is not in the video. You have to be there. So buy your tickets for next year. I'm not the first one that I remember. One year, I think. Either Dharmesh or Seth Godin said, for this part, I'd like for it not to be shared. And Spolsky did it too, one whole talk.
Oh, yeah, that was only the entire talk.
Yeah, but for him, I think it was the last talk he gave at BoS, so that's bad news.
No, he gave one a couple of years after. But,
all right, so I can do one more. That's cool.
It was very entertaining. We kind of put the talk up, and we had some kind of feature that automated access to Twitter or whatever, and it sort of, as it uploaded, it sent the thing out, and it said, Joel Spolsky got picked up as a Twitter thing. Joel retweeted it, and then about 2 hours later, I had this thing going, "Ah, geez, what on earth are you doing?" But there'd only been, 300,000 or 400,000 views by that stage. So, it's really not it's really no. I think one of the really lovely things about BoS is that people do kind of, not always in a a kind of a planned way, but people kind of come out and say things that they don't, or they wouldn't necessarily say to other people in other environments. So
right, you've been able to create a safe place, safe space for people.
Yeah.
there's really very little difference between the speakers and the audience. It's very much a tight-knit community there.
Right. So there's a few questions coming in about why I'm so orange, and I'm convinced it's purely the effect that's being sort of created by the orange curtains. And I was slightly kind of worried that if I move at all, and I'm at home at the moment, just sort of looking after Arthur, who's upstairs, my son. I'm not sure whether I can kind of go anywhere without kind of betraying all sorts of oh my god, you can't go in the kitchen because people will realize it's dirty and sort of that. So right, it was an extraordinary talk. A lot of people go through the process of being acquired or potentially being acquired. What was the one thing that you sort of took away from the process? I mean, it was very up and down. It was kind of exciting. It was worrying. It created all sorts of kind of issues for you. But what's the thing that you've sort of taken away from it that you'll remember and think about? The way that you do business and the way you think about the world in the future.
It was very eye-opening how I woke up one day and I thought, we're going to do this. This is happening. I've made my decision, and so I emailed the team, which was another 5 people at the time, and I asked, can each of you please tell me how you imagine your life if we do this and if we don't? Thinking they would all say, yes, it's going to be great. I'm going to be rich because we're all rich, right?
Isn't that the whole point? We're going to be rich. We're going to be rich.
Well, I don't know. That's what people say. That's what people want, right? Instead, it was wonderful to see how everybody really wasn't in it for the money from the beginning. And so all of the emails, most of the emails that came back were like, sure, I'd have more money, but I think I would be more miserable. I think I didn't join you to be part of a large company. I joined you because I want to be part of this thing that we're doing. The company was only 2.5 years old at the time. And so really there was this overwhelming feeling of, come on, we're just getting started. Well, there's a lot of fun to be had. There's a lot of things to learn. And that really changed my perspective completely. It was a big surprise.
Yeah.
So really the takeaway is that I think I've used ever since is, if I don't know what to do, go to the team. Go to the team. It's the people that know your situation best, even if they see it from a different perspective, but they know the company, they've been with you. And so I think since then, all of our company policies, they don't come from me. We talk about them together, right? I might have an idea for something, but throw it out, but it's very much a group effort.
Is that potentially distracting for some people? I mean, in some organizations, there are people that are just like looking for these excuses to, hey, that's a great t-shirt.
Yeah, I put it on just for you.
Hopefully I'm going to find Arthur. Arthur's got his child's version of that, so hopefully I'll come and say hello later. So it's quite a, you really need a certain type of person to be in that kind of company. That's not going to suit everyone. Because the opportunity to get involved in every decision, the opportunity to think about everything, kind of have some kind of strategic view, that's going to get wearing for you or for the team somehow, isn't it?
Definitely. And now that we're 20 people, it's very different. There's some background noise of things moving. Anyways, you know, we one of the things that Valerie, one of our employees, says is that feel welcome but not obligated. And so we do the same for these kind of meetings. We call them Kaizen meetings, continuous improvement meetings, and we have one scheduled every month. Yeah. And it's an hour long, and a lot of people participate, but there's some people who are like, listen, I trust you guys. I have it good so far. I trust you. I'd rather focus on my work. I'm not done. Yeah. And that's fine. And in these meetings, they always result in a wiki page, internal wiki page, where there's more discussion there. And then once we approve something, then the next meeting we talk about it. And it's like, hey, this is approved. You know, then we talk about it at the all hands meeting that we have once a month. Like, okay, this is what we're discussing right now. If you're interested, join us. Otherwise, don't. Yeah. And so that kind of scales. One thing that's changed recently is the realization that for some topics, just doing the large group once a month Kaizen meeting might be too much. There's too many people there, and now people might feel intimidated and maybe not speak up with their ideas. So now we're thinking about how do we create an environment where everybody can participate in these discussions. Maybe we have smaller discussions beforehand, or who knows? We're trying to figure that out right now. But yeah, how we do things continues to evolve, and it just has to.
Yeah. Okay. So another question, kind of leading on from that. What wiki system do you use to host your internal policies?
We use Atlassian Confluence. Which is the only Atlassian Confluence.
Sorry, what was the name of that company?
Atlassian. The Confluence they make, the wiki they make is the only one that I know that is both powerful enough and easy to use enough for non-technical people. So we use it for everything. And we have two separate spaces. One is what we call the wiki. There's this concept of spaces inside the Confluence. One is the wiki, and it's for projects, things that have a time attached to it. Meeting meeting notes, project pages, and then we have another one that is the handbook, and that is more for policies and things that are supposedly a little more timeless. But like, one is what we do, and the other one is how we do it. And it's been working really well. We use the hosted version, so we don't have to worry about it. But they also have a behind the firewall version.
Cool. And what was the name of that company again?
It's Atlassian Confluence.
Sorry, the first word?
Atlassian.
Atlassian. Okay.
It's an Australian company.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Jeremy Moskowitz, who is based over in Philadelphia. So welcome and good morning. We're not going to take that question yet. This is a good question, though. So I'm sure you've met Sean Anderson at Business Software. What advice do you have for acquisitions when dealing with compensation for employees who do not own stock? And I think this is one of those things that for you has never been an issue. And I think that the easiest way to summarize your position is that you're Italian.
Well, so no, it actually was the first thing that I thought about when we got that big offer, which was how much should I keep, how much should the employees keep? Because we never planned on selling, we never set up stock options or equity program. The thought behind that is that if we're never going to sell this company, even if you have equity in it, it's going to be paper that it's not really going to be ever transformed into cash. So instead of setting that up, we set up a very generous profit sharing program, so that every 3 months, if the company does well, you get cash in the bank. And so I still own the whole company pretty much. But at the time the acquisition came, I was like, okay, how much do I keep? How much do I give the employees? And first I thought, let's do 50-50, and then they convinced me to do 60-40. But we never really got, so the idea was that I was somehow going to give 40% of the payout to the employees in different amounts based on seniority, etc. We never got far enough in the acquisition process to figure out what the most tax effective way to do that was going to be for me to basically give them this, or if the acquirer was going to somehow figure out how to give them this stuff. But so we never really did it, but that was the plan. So I don't really have a tip on how to do it, other than if you think you might sell someday, maybe set up a stock program before.
So with that, well, okay, you're saying they go to you for tax advice. I mean, I'm just wondering whether you could have created a very big liability for yourself, no matter what you did, if you had sold the company, if you'd then given some of the profits to.
Yeah, that was definitely a risk to do it all at the same time. Yes.
Just follow up from that from Jeremy, and this is about people and employees. Are your people employees or contractors?
I'm very familiar with the fine line of defining an employee or a contractor, especially in the U.S. You don't get to decide if someone is an employee or a contractor. It's mostly the IRS can say, oh yeah, sure, you've called this person a contractor, but they only work for you. They work for you full time. You tell them exactly what to do. So really, we're going to treat them as an employee, and so you have to pay these kind of taxes as an employee. So we prefer to have employees over contractors. We've used external contractors from time to time. We have a standard document, a contract that we sort of customize to work with contractors, and it's one of those standard ones. We've had our lawyers look at it. You know, it's 3 pages, it's 4 pages, it's not that big, but it's always for things that are. It's very clear that we just tell them what we need, and then a month later it comes back, or maybe it's some developers they work on a specific feature, and we don't tell them how much to work or where to work, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, we usually have employees, but we've used contractors in the past. When it comes to employees, one of my favorite topics is to talk about Nexus. Whenever I go to these software entrepreneur conferences, and I go to the speakers dinner, all we talk about is Nexus. Somehow is like the best topic. But the idea is that if you have someone in a specific state doing work for you, even if they're a contractor, you might be establishing a nexus in that state. That means you establish a presence in that state. And so that means that for sales of that in that state, you have to pay different taxes, and you have to register with the state. We've heard stories of companies sending a representative to a conference in Texas for 2 weeks, and Texas going back saying, oh, you have a presence in Texas. You have to pay Texas taxes. Basically, the states are pretty desperate for money, and they'll get them whatever they try. They can't. So anyways,
this is the US version of VAT, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's in some ways worse. Because what happens now is that we like to have people that work remotely. We're optimized for working from home, but setting up in a specific state is a lot of paperwork, and they could change the local laws, and so we have to keep up with those too. If the taxes change, we have to keep up with those too. So either you have a big accountant that keeps track of all the different states, and so those are expensive. We have one now, but if you're just starting out, that's expensive. Or you run the risk of, not following all the rules in that specific state. So for us, right now we have people in California and in Illinois. And we chose Illinois when we looked for someone there, because it's kind of in between Europe and the US, but also because it's a large state.
That's a very Chicago view, I think.
Well, it's also good because it's a large state and it has a big talent pool. So,
yeah.
So now, even though we like to say we'll take anyone, we do prefer people from California and Illinois just because it's a lot less people for us.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so a couple more questions. Quite a few questions coming in here, but I'm gonna take Jeremy Moskowitz on stable work versus interesting work. Are devs interested in stable work or interesting work?
Wait, sorry, say that again?
Are devs interested in stable work or interesting work?
It depends on the person. It depends on where they are in their career. I don't know anyone who's not interested in interesting work. But I
know a lot of people that have redefined interesting work based on how much they're earning, for example.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good motivator on its own. But yeah, there's some people who just want to ship stuff and work with customers and fix it, and there's other people who get bored with that and just want to solve hard problems. And there's other people that just want to play with the latest technology just to learn. I don't think there's a single thing, and I think it's healthy to have a mix of all these different types of people in your company. Because if you only have people who don't care about the technology, just care about the product, which I love, by the way, the risk you run is that you get stuck with very old technology, and nobody pulled you into the future, But if you have only people who want to do interesting, hard, new work, then you never actually ship anything, and that's a problem as well. So I think we have a good mix. We have a good tension. It wasn't intentional; it just happened to.
Okay, so I'm going to take another question from Clark Ching, who you may know. He runs some pretty big teams in a big corporate, which is an insurance company, London, Royal London. How hands-on are you these days? I'm intrigued to know if you think yourself as a business person, a programmer, a UX guy, all of the above, or something different.
It's interesting because that's changing. I think at the beginning, when it was just me, I would definitely consider myself a programmer that was trying to do good UX and was learning about business. That was the very beginning. For a little bit, for a few years, while it was a few people only, we had a few people only, I consider myself all of the above, where I was trying to do it all. The programmer part is something that only very recently I have felt comfortable not considering myself anymore. Just seriously, just in the last couple of months, I've noticed that since I don't get to do it very much because I don't have time, I've been getting rusty, and I've noticed that actually it's better if I stay out of the code because I rush things, I don't have time, and so they don't end up being well-made things. And so now I still program, but I do only little projects. little JavaScript for the website, or we'll write little internal scripts to automate our processes. Nothing really mission critical. So I think I'll always be
all you're doing programming wise is micromanaging them.
No, not at all. I don't micromanage. I don't think so.
No,
anyway,
it's fascinating that you really kind of wrote the code, and you
no, I know. This was very hard for me to give up, because I used to be a pretty good programmer. I mean, I wrote the whole app by myself. It was just me at the beginning, and so I always thought, I felt guilty leaving that behind. Meaning, I'm a good programmer. I'm productive. We got this far because of my programming skills. Am I hurting the company if I stop doing this? Right? The company is losing a very productive individual contributor. Right? And so it was really hard. I felt guilty, and also I loved doing it. So for a long time, I felt like I was a programmer who also did the CEO thing in spare time. As of maybe last month or 2 months ago, and so this is 7.5 years into it, something happened, which is my machine stopped being able to compile the app. Something I installed, basically, it doesn't work anymore. And I took it as a sign. Instead of re-imaging my machine and fighting it, I said, okay, this is it. I'm not touching the app anymore. So that one I gave up. The UX, I'm definitely keeping. I love doing it. It's still the vision for my product, still my vision that we're executing. It takes input from a lot of places, a lot of people, of course, inside and outside of the company. But I like to wireframe a lot. And I find bugs in the product when I use it, so I'll still do that. As far as business guy, I don't know. I don't feel like a business guy very much. Now I'm working on trying to get comfortable feeling like a manager. Because for a long time, I just felt like I was one of the guys. I wanted to be one of the guys. But again, recently realized that I was hurting the company by doing that. I needed to dedicate more time to people's development and the company I needed to be more of a coach to people and help them become coaches of themselves or other people. And so now that's where most of my time goes, really.
Wow, that sounded like a confessional almost, but
it's not easy, Mark. I tell you, it's not easy.
But this is something that you've always been aware of. I remember in, I think it was 2012 actually, when you were talking, there was something in your talk where you said you realized the company got big enough that you kind of owed its customers some longevity, and you actually owed its customers some support, and that you should take people seriously.
Yeah, and I've done that, but the shift has been that I used to say, okay, I'm a programmer, I do the UX, and then in my spare time, I do the CEO things. Now I say, okay, I'm not going to do the programming anymore. Forget it. This is what I need to get good at. This is what I need to do a lot of. This is what the company requires of me and what my employees expect of me. And so I delegated things that I didn't expect I would be able to delegate. And the result is those things are done far better than I used to do them. And so that was very encouraging.
It's disappointing for about a second once, and then you're like, well, hey, no, I understand that one. Okay, so a couple of things I want to pick up on here. Some great questions coming in, by the way, so thank you. There's a few things about Balsamiq's future, but where did this go? Okay, we're going to take this one. Seems to be a few people that have have highlighted, and I suppose this is relevant. Peldi, how do you manage to maintain the life and work? From the outside, at least, you really seem to have managed to achieve the impossible and found balance.
Let's see.
And I'm going to ask Mariah.
Yes, you should ask my wife. But in fact, today it's kind of tough because that means I'm going home. This interview means I'm going home an hour later than usual. So I had to warn her, but that's okay.
We really appreciate you spending a bit of time, and I did suggest an earlier time, but as you said, this gets Americans as well.
Yeah, this is the best for the US question. Anyways, so one trick is to have a geographically distributed company. And so when I sleep, there's 5 people in California that are awake, taking care of customers, and so I can sleep better. Well, I can go home and I know that there's people working 24/7. So that's not very easy to do. It took a lot of effort, but it's a huge part of how I am able to maintain a good working schedule. I didn't have that for the first 2 years, and so I didn't have a good balance. I work 9 to 6 every day, and then at night, once I will check once in a while. I used to have meetings after dinner. I still do, maybe once a month. I don't even do those anymore because I don't know. I'm older. I get tired or something.
Well,
anyways,
you know, I don't want to break any confidences, but we've been around each other at times when we've been sleeping, and you really are a very early sort of nighter.
Yeah, I go to sleep early. I wake up early. I'm a morning person. Yeah, for sure.
I can't imagine sort of late night sort of.
Yeah, I don't like those very much.
Doing a business meeting, so.
Yeah. So the fact that we're 20 people really helps. The fact that now my job is what it is more of a leadership and policies and stuff like that. It's not that time sensitive anymore. I still review. I spend a lot of my day reviewing what other people are doing, answering questions. I define my job as staff support. There's customer support, and I am staff support. I'm at the bottom of the pyramid, which is one layer, and I answer any questions that shows up. That's not everything that I should be doing. I should also start thinking strategically about what the business needs. But like I said, I don't think of myself as a much of a businessman these days. But I will do more for sure.
Okay, so this is a slight change of track, but it's a really interesting question. It's disappeared again, and it's around. Do you see the Q&As come up, by the way? Yeah. From a licensing perspective, why would someone want to pay a monthly fee for your cloud product where they could make a one-time purchase of $89?
For all the reasons cloud products exist, which is the fact that you don't have to worry about losing your data. The data lives with us. It's backed up. It's always available. It's available from any computer. The collaboration is very, very effective. There's commenting and ranking and things that we're slowly bringing to the desktop version as well. But right now, the subscription SaaS application, my Balsamiq, that's what it does better than the desktop version. Nothing wrong with people buying the desktop and collaborating on files. We like to give people what they want as much as we can. That's why we have both versions, and they both do very well.
What can you talk a little bit about what the split is at the moment? I mean, presumably that's changed because.
Let me look. It's gradually moving more towards SaaS as people like to work that way more and more. They're more comfortable working that way. But let me see. Just a second. I have a chart about that. So I'd say about 50% is desktop now. 30% is the cloud version, and 20% is the plugins.
Wow, that's quite. Because how long's the SaaS version been going?
A few years.
A few.
Yeah. 2012, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you've actually even got that sort of level. I mean, most companies, and I know you kind of resisted the SaaS option early on, just through reasons of focus.
No, it's good, and it just keeps growing. It only goes up. It's really amazing.
Oh, we need more things like that. Okay, we're going to go back and talk about potential acquisitions. And there's a few kind of questions coming in here, as you can see. I'm going to take a couple from Sean Anderson, who obviously was there. The first one, terms of acquisition required you hit certain revenue milestones within 5 years. There are a bunch of other things as well. So on your own, have you achieved those goals? Just slightly blunt, but I mean, I think it's an interesting question.
Yeah. So the acquisition had an earn-out part. Watch out, Mark. Every time you move your computer, we hear.
I apologize.
That's okay. So yeah, there was an earn-outs part of the offer, which meant we had to hit some revenue targets, and those revenue targets had us growing 10 times in 3-4 years. Well, I am proud to say that we didn't even come close. That was never our goal. That was actually one of the biggest turnoffs for us. We want to grow organically and not too fast. We're already having a hard time keeping up with the rate of change as it is. Our goal is not to grow. Our goal is to last a long time. And so it's very different. And so, yes, we've been growing, and we like the fact that every year is a new record year. But we don't have targets. We just kind of take it as it is.
It's really fascinating, this growth versus, or sort of short-term growth versus long-term. Or the sort of, the staying power of a long-term company. And I read an interview, an article earlier on this week about the founder of BuzzFeed, Joe Peretti. He's really kind of turned media on its head by using very kind of metrics-driven, click-driven numbers to create a sort of a fairly massive empire. But actually, he's one of the first people to use to found an organization that's using data in a very creative way. And the point of this article was he was actually looking at building that 100-year business. Anything that he's doing at the moment is a start. Is there a kind of a fundamental difference between a company that wants to be great and a company that wants to be very big?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the two are opposed to each other. If you are Amazon, any kind of marketplace things where there's a winner take all thing, you have to be bigger in order to be the one that survives 100 years. You have to be the biggest, as big as possible, right? So I don't think the two go together. They go. They're opposing each other. Yeah. So. Yeah, but there are some businesses where the goal is to show growth, so that you can look appetizing to people who want to acquire you. But if you ask, I think, 100 entrepreneurs, do you want your company to last a long time? Of course they're all 90 are going to say yes, right? They're all trying to build a long-term sustainable business. In some cases, that requires people to go really fast. I chose this niche thinking I could do it all on my own forever, right? I thought it was small enough that I could do it all on my own because that was my goal.
How many people could possibly be interested?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so a few others I'm going to pick up here because this is a and Ask Me Anything. I will come back to some more sales questions. But I quite like this. Has Balsamiq done any partnerships, reselling arrangements, or bundling? And I guess the kind of question here for Drew is, what are the kind of pros and cons? What did you learn?
Yes.
What did you do differently?
So I'll try to keep the answer short so that I can answer more questions. But we don't really do that much. We did the first AppSumo that ever existed. We were part of that one, and that taught us not to do those ever again. Basically, when you do those bundles, you are getting price sensitive customers. Customers that want a deal, that look for free things or coupons, and that's not the customers we want. Our product is inexpensive, and we think it's fairly priced, and so we want to be recognized for that, and we want people who recognize that value. We don't want people who just got us because we were the deal of the day. That's just a decision that we've made. We've been really lucky that our product is very successful on its own. We haven't needed to do that. The other thing is about affiliate programs. At the beginning, so many people asked me if I had affiliate programs. The problem with the affiliate programs is that, again, the affiliates don't really have your interest at heart. Sure, they will push your product, but they might push it by spamming via blog spam, right? So now all of a sudden your brand is associated with blog spam just because you gave an affiliate program. So we don't do that anymore. I mean, we've never done that. Resellers, we work happily with. We don't usually give them discounts though. So there's a whole industry, SHI, Insight, big giant software resellers. We are happy to work with them, but we don't offer. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay,
so,
that's fantastic.
To, but if you have to, go ahead.
Follow up on that one, which is, I suppose, about inbound and inbound sales leads. How do you generate leads?
I don't know. I don't really. I've never used that word, I don't think. We do it by trying to compete on usability and customer service. Those are the things that from day one we compete on. So if we treat our customers so well that they share, that they talk about it to their friends, we win. If our software is so delightful and fun to use that they talk about it to their friends, we win. We don't really do much traditional marketing at all. We do some AdWords. We use Dave Collins' services for that. So I don't really know what he does, but I know we spent some money there, and I think it's working. But I don't look at any analytics, so I don't know. They tell me it's working. So
that's always been one of your things. You just have no interest in some of those numbers. I find fascinating because I always kind of feel that you'd be drawn to some of them.
It's hard to hear you, Mark. I don't know if you're standing on the mic.
Can you hear me okay?
I don't know, yeah.
Sorry, I'm always fascinated by this thing. You've never been interested in analytics.
I think now I describe it. I have an allergy. People seem to respect that. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. Okay, just going to come back to a couple of questions on acquisition. And this is one about, and this is a really interesting story, and I'm almost sorry we couldn't share the whole video with people, because there is this bit about an offer and the process, and there's a huge amount of detail in there about that. But fundamentally, it's kind of a story about how you felt. Did you have an attorney? I'm assuming that's do you have an attorney review the proposed contract? If so, did they advise against it and the purchase? Did they have any comments about ramifications of saying yes or no? And I guess this is sort of something about how involved were they in the decision, or was this just something that wasn't right for you?
I had one meeting with my accountants where I showed them the offer, and then we talked about it. And that's it. And they said, you would have to be an imbecile if you don't do this. So that was very clear what their view was. And I can totally understand why they would say that, because you just don't see these kind of numbers in Italy. When this happens, you don't pass it. You know, when something like this happens, it's probably not going to happen again. You know, it would have been front page news in Italy, right, if we did it. So yeah, that was their recommendation, which made it harder to say no, but that's okay.
But yeah, what did they say when you said no?
Nothing. I think they kindly kept their opinions to themselves. But we still work together very well. We never talked about it since. We just went back to normal work.
That's funny. So a couple of kind of questions about the future then. Take this one. Do you fear about Balsamiq's future without huge backing? And I think this is something that we've touched on in some of the conversation today, for example, where you're kind of talking about the money you've got to do what you want to do and grow organically. What happens if someone kind of is going to come and take you out? Or
well, how are they going to do that? Right? If they do it by having better usability than we do, and by having better customer service than we do, then they deserve to win. And you know what? That is a good outcome for the world, because the world gets a better product that is supported better than ours. Right? And so I'd be happy to step aside and figure out something else to do, right? If they can't compete on usability or customer service, which are not things that you can do that money buys you so easily. If you're a large company, it's really hard to provide personable, outstanding customer service. It's hard. We are lucky that we are small, and we take this very seriously, and we continue to study and get better and better, and go to all the support conferences and read all the support books, and we're going to start publishing some of our own tips and tricks about that, even more. So, and same with usability. It's not easy to do a product that is easy to use. And being large is actually detrimental in our space, because if you have infinite money, then you will do infinite features. You will do everything the customers ask you, and I've seen competitors do that, and after a while you start shooting yourself in the foot, because the product becomes unusable, too complex. You have to charge 10 times as much, right? So we stay small, we stay focused, we do something, and of course the market in the end will dictate how big we have to be, how many features we have to have, but we're trying to stay small and focused on these things and see what happens. And hi, James. I remember meeting you in Cambridge years ago.
So this one I do like. Another one from Drew. When you realised Balsamiq needed to be bigger than just you, did you consider finding a co-founder or partner rather than employees?
No, it was kind of too late for that. It was already 3,000 customers. I was maybe 8 months into the product. What I really needed was help with coding so that I could do all the rest. And then after that, I needed help with someone in the US to help with customers so that I could sleep. So the first two employees were employees, and it sort of went from there. When I started as a solo founder for a couple of reasons. One is my goal was to learn everything that needed to be done to be able to do independent software vendor, and so I wanted to know it all, and so I didn't want to split this with anyone. The buck had to stop with me every time. And the second reason is because I thought it was going to fail, and so I didn't want to bring anybody down with me. But yes, I definitely feel like it's a strong partnership with the employees. You know, again, like I said before, I think I'm just trying to lead this company in a direction, steer it in a direction, but more and more I'm delegating even that. You know, so yeah, absolutely. The employees are integral part of the success of this company.
Imagine yourself getting to a point where you don't need to do that.
Sorry, I can't hear you again. I don't know what's wrong.
You ever get to a point where you think you don't need to be there?
Don't need to do what?
You don't need to be there.
Oh, be there? Well, they tell me that's
your
the goal. They tell me that's the goal. I should make myself redundant, and if I do, I'll be successful. That's kind of scary because I don't want to. This is what I want to do. I don't want to be redundant. But I can understand why that's a goal, and I am working on that for sure. And there's always too much to do anyways, right? So I will always find something to do that's useful.
Excellent. Okay, Peldi, we're going to wrap up with the question here. I really like to.
I can't hear anything. There's just a background noise.
Working okay now?
Okay, try now.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
I don't know if it's just everybody else.
Okay, I'll try to take that. Final question. Can you hear me okay?
A little better, yeah.
Yeah. Would you ever sell Balsamiq?
Would I ever sell Balsamiq?
Yeah.
That's definitely not the plan. But when I am on my deathbed at 98, I will. I hope to at least have a plan for succession. It's definitely too early to start thinking about those kind of plans. But at some point, you know, hopefully there will be a Balsamiq after me. If that means selling it, it would have to be to the right people and with the support of the team. But there are no plans for that now, and we are finally too big to be palatable. People leave us alone now. We're too expensive, which is wonderful.
Excellent. What a perfect situation. So I think 98 is far too young for you to be setting your sights there for slowing down, particularly when you have such a gift with pasta. And one of the things I said that I would try and see if we get the secrets from you today is, what's the secret of great pasta? Because I used to hate pasta until I met Peldi. This is just honestly, you taught me how to make pasta, and it's amazing. What's the secret?
I don't remember what I taught you that was so amazing. I just do it the way all Italians do. What was so perfect about it that you remember?
I don't know. Maybe it was the don't boil it for 30 minutes.
Well, there's that.
I think the real thing
on the box, that's usually
that's
a really
right.
good indication. Yes.
The real thing for us, actually, the real revelation was undercook it and take it out and then deal with it and put the sauce.
Right, because it keeps cooking while you're adding the sauce to it.
Yeah.
So undercook it a little bit. Yeah.
So I think that's my number one thing. Fantastic, Peldi. Really appreciate your time today.
Listen, I see there's a bunch of unanswered questions, so please email me those questions. Jeremy, James, Clark, Peldi@balsamiq.com, and I'll reply via email. Okay.
There are a few. I'm not sure what Clark's talking about with his book recommendations, but I thoroughly recommend Rolling Rocks Down the Hill, which is Clark's book.
All right.
Jeremy's got something about support tickets. We'll follow up with these ones. I'll try and put you in touch.
Yeah, just send me an email, guys.
That's really cool. And well, we'll see you in.
No. Is it me? Or is it Mark? I don't see Mark anymore. I shall refresh the page. Still don't see Mark. Can people see me? Someone say something, please. Okay, so someone tells me I'm still live, so I'm just gonna continue answering questions. Jeremy says about resellers, what's in it for the reseller to work with you at all if you don't give them anything for their time? Well, the resellers usually work like this, where you say you're Microsoft and you need a bunch of software. You use a reseller and say, I need 10 of these, 5 of these, 20 of these, or 5 Balsamiqs. And so the reseller kind of has to work with us in order to collect all the licenses and send them back to Microsoft. So that's how it works, as far as I can understand. Okay, next question. I'll take for someone else. James, you already answered. All right, I think people kind of left. But Jeremy, you're still here. I'll answer your questions. What the heck? What is the best way to get a new dev onboarded to learn all parts of your software so they can be most effective quickly? We recorded a couple of free courses, online courses, one on Udemy and one on Skillshare about our software. And so those are online courses people can take, and it's a good starting point. Software is, ideally, pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. We have a bunch of tutorials on our website that they can follow. I will take it from there. Otherwise, email support@balsamiq.com. We'll help you any way we can. All right, Jeremy. Another question from Jeremy. At what dollar amount per year in revenue did you feel like you could relax a little bit instead of being in constant fight mode? So that's a good question. We were really blessed with instant success, which I know is incredibly rare. We got lucky with being product market fit right at the right time. And so we never really had the I must fight and I must fight feeling. And I realize it's so extremely rare. But I still jokingly say, we're 8 years old almost. I still say, like, I hope we make it to 10. You know, it might all go to shit tomorrow. Who knows? I like thinking that way. Don't, you know, you shouldn't relax. You shouldn't get smug. All right, I think maybe we're done. Anything else while we're all here on our own? How many people are even here? Who knows? I hope Mark's okay.